Hello guys, this is Jones10395 with another airsoft video for you today. This was a request by one of my subscribers who is having trouble with disassembling his UTG Master Sniper Rifle M324. This is a Generation 3, it's not a Generation 1, 2, 4, or 5, so it may be a little bit different, but overall I can't imagine it would have changed too much. So I'm going to do the complete disassembly guide all the way from taking the cylinder and piston out and taking off the upper and lower receiver, which everyone who has one of these should know how to do because that's how it came in the box. So you're going to need some Allen wrenches, pliers, possibly some screwdrivers, and a hammer. But let's get started with separating the receivers. Alright, there are 3 screws that separate the upper from the lower. The first one is in the front right here. And all these 3 are Allen keys. So we're going to move the front one. Place it somewhere that will let you know that it's in the front and not in the back, so I don't get them confused. Then there's one in the middle right here, right behind the magazine. Where the magazine would go, rather. And then there's one right here, behind the trigger, which you can't take out, like you can't take it out of the gun, but you can separate the threads from the upper receiver. It just won't come out of the trigger guard is what I'm trying to say. So that one you kind of have to go by feel. Alright, and I've got it. So there's your upper and lower. And for the upper, if you want to split the barrel, which we're going to do right now, you're going to want to remove this screw right there, which is another Allen key, which I have stripped, so every time I do it I need to use pliers. Which good thing is that there's enough room right there for my pliers to get a really good grip. So I'm going to remove that with some needle nose pliers. And the threads aren't very long on it. So sorry if I'm not doing this in frame. It shouldn't take too long. So here's this screw. And you can separate the barrel. Here's your piston and cylinder right there, which we're going to take apart here in a quick second. To get the barrel out and hop-up unit, there are 2 screws right here and right there. They are Phillips head, which I need to grab my Phillips head screwdriver. Make sure you have the right size so you don't strip it and you don't end up having to buy new screws or possibly a whole new hop-up unit. Obviously place those aside where you won't lose them. Then you can remove this piece. And there's one more thing you have to do, which I always forget about, and I actually forgot about it while doing this video. And you're going to need a smaller Phillips head screw bit for that. This is the hop-up adjustment knob. If it took you a long time to adjust your hop-up, then don't move it around during disassembly, just kind of leave it there. And it shouldn't be a problem. So, now you can push this out the back. Oops, and I just pushed my hop-up out of 0. Just like that. Come on. There you go. There's your barrel. This is a 6.01mm tight bore, which I got in an upgrade kit for this. And this is just basically a hollow tube right now. Removal of the orange cap is simply screw it off clockwise, or counterclockwise, to take it off rather. It's just your normal threading is what I'm attempting to say. And now where I think it's AZB Avenger 24, if I'm getting that right. Yeah, AZB Avenger 24. He keeps having trouble with disassembling his gun. So, we're going to start here. You don't need to remove the scope if you don't want to. This is actually the heaviest part of the gun. You may think it's the stock, but it's actually this part. And I believe this is what you're trying to take off. This piston and cylinder. Which is definitely troublesome. But I'm going to start out by taking off the bolt, which there is a Allen key hole right here in the back. See that? going to remove that. Alright, so once that screw is loose, this also has a lock washer on it right here. Place that aside where you won't lose it. And now the bolt should be able to slide off freely. So you've got this part. I don't know what to call it, so I'm just going to set it aside. After you remove this, you really want to place this in a spot where it won't move around. Like, you won't drop it or roll off a table, like I'm using my ping pong table down here. Because there's a very important piece in here, which keeps the bolt either locked in the upright position or the down position when ready to fire, and it's this piece. And there's also a spring behind that. And this is what makes that nice clicky sound when you just move your bolt around. And now you can take off the actual bolt right there. And if you want, you can take off the rubber thing with this Allen key right there. But there's really not much reason to do that, at least for me. Now, to remove this piston with the cylinder and spring inside of it. You're going to see this little knob right there, and it'll look like that from underneath view. You're going to want to hit that out. I really want my camera to focus on this. Alright, you're going to want to hit that out, and that will release your bolt and piston, or your piston and spring and cylinder. And it's going to be hard to hit out. This is where the hammer might come in handy, and a flathead screwdriver. Just you want to bang it out. It's gonna be hard, so don't feel like you're gonna break your gun, because I thought I did. But it's just really tough because all the spring tension is pressing right on this little point right there. Anyway, so right here, you want to press hard. If it comes out, there we go. This piece, which I really need to clean off because it's more oily than it should be. This is what holds in your piston assembly. After you have removed that piece from right here, there's one more that I forgot about. You want to flip it over, and if you're gonna look right there, there's a piece that moves. Actually, it doesn't move with the trigger, but you're gonna want to get something small to fit in there. You're gonna want to move it down. There should be little to no resistance, so when you move it down, pull the cylinder forward, and it comes right out with the shims, or one shim, and one's probably still inside of here. Now you have your piston and cylinder out, so you can't disassemble this any further than it already is. But the new one, like if you buy the upgrade kit, it came with a whole new assembly like this, with the tougher spring inside of it. So that's probably the only reason you're going to want to do this. But you cannot disassemble it any further than what it is right now. Your gun is basically to the lowest stage of assembly it can be without going back to the factory and getting a pro person there doing it, because you need some machinery to do these. Like there's little rivets in here and all that stuff that you can't do. But here's your spring inside of there and your piston. So that's the complete disassembly guide for the UTG M324 Generation 3. Maybe a little bit different, as I said in the beginning, but it should be all the same concept. So if this was helpful, let me know. If it wasn't, ask me a question and I'll see if I can answer it.